Hey everybody! In today's video, I'm going to show you how to turn an elephant stamp into a woolly mammoth. Now I'm using this adorable Mother's Day themed set, and I have to tell you it is my friend Amanda Garrett who inspired this card. I saw a card that she did where she turned an elephant into a woolly mammoth, and I thought it was genius. So since I had this mama and baby elephant, I thought I would do the same with my new OLO markers. I just got my pre-order and I'm so excited. I love these markers. Oh my gosh. I have another video coming up with these now that I have a larger set of colors. It's so much fun. But in today's video, what I want to talk about is working from your big details down to your small details. So here's what's going to happen. I'm just going to psychologically prepare you for this. This is going to be super ugly before it gets cute because I'm working from big to small. So at first, my mammoths, elephants, creatures are going to look completely insane after I put the marker details in. But don't worry, because I'm going to come back with more markers, with colored pencils, with all sorts of things. But I'm just blocking out some fur textures, some colors where I want the colors to be darker. And you're going to think I've lost my mind, but I haven't lost my mind. And I promise you it's going to be as cute as you saw in the intro. So anyway, my friend Amanda is a great alcohol marker person. She's so much fun. Follow her on Instagram. And she does this great scene building, and that is how she created her mammoth card. And I just fell in love with it because I have a ton of elephant stamps. I love elephants. Who doesn't love elephants? If you don't love elephants, you really need to reevaluate your life because there's nothing not to love. So let's start with this. Stage 1 is a medium color brown OLO marker for large fur strokes. Step 2 is an overall sort of amber color with a colored pencil to have something to do more fur textures on top of. Step 3, which I'm doing now, is details with a brown, kind of a dark brown colored pencil to create shadows and make certain features stand out, like the eyes, etc. And you'll notice that I took a fine liner and went over the eye detail first with a black permanent marker. And that is because that can kind of get lost when you're doing sort of no line coloring. And so I always like to block that in first. But here what I'm doing is creating a little bit of dimension and shading with the dark brown pencil where it would naturally be. I'm going to add more fur texture. I realize at this point they both still look insane, but they're going to be fine, I promise. But I'm also creating for myself some of the details back into the stamps that were lost by putting the marker and the pencil over them. So I'm outlining the legs, putting shadows where things are naturally behind other things like the back legs versus the front legs, etc. Outlining the little toenails, which are the cutest feature of any elephant, and marking out the shading around the ears and in between their legs where it needs to be. Also, you want to make sure the head is pulled forward on these animals, and so I've created shadows underneath their trunks and underneath their heads so that their bodies kind of fade into the background. Now, you will want to have a pretty sharp pencil at all times. That's just good life advice. But especially when we move to the fur texture, you are going to want to make sure that your pencil is really sharp. Now, the inside of the ears, I colored with a very pale pink marker from OLO. And I will come back and do a little bit of shading there as well. But you can already see how the dimension is starting to take shape, even though their fur still looks a little bit crazy. But, I mean, let's be honest. When woolly mammoths were stomping around the earth, things were crazy. What do you think a woolly mammoth was experiencing on a daily basis? I doubt it was like super peaceful. Come on. They have the right to have some crazy looks on their faces. I'm just saying. So a little close up there. I will show you some slowed down close-ups here in a little bit, but I'm just trying to get most of the color down here without being super repetitive. There you go. Now I want to make sure and add some tiny, very sharp strokes with a pencil. So I'm using the lighter pencil. The thing that I've found about fur when you're doing fur textures is you need to do light, medium, and dark strokes. So at the end, you're going to see me use a white pencil for the lightest strokes, but you'll also want the dark and medium ones. And what I like to do is do rows of very short little flicks with the pencil, and that seems to give me a good furry texture. Now, I'm no artist or creating fur. This is just a super easy way to do it, is little rows. Think about Herman Munster's hair. You know how he had like little rows of hair kind of up on the top of his head? That's what we're going for with these little heffalumps that I'm turning into woolly mammoths. So now that I have some dark ones, I realized that I smudged part of my card. So these pencils are great because they're super easy to erase. So you can just use a regular white eraser and erase them. Then make sure you go around the edge too to get like a finer texture. So where I first had the alcohol marker, they were kind of big chunky textures. That's great because it adds a ton of color underneath your finishing touches that you're going to do with the colored pencil and those little shorter strokes. Now here I have just a slightly darker pencil than the marker that I used, and I will be shading the inside of the ears. Again, this is just to give them a three-dimensional texture. Plus, it's really cute. Like every stamp that I have, the inside of their ears is the cutest part. Every animal stamp. So here I'm taking the white pencil, and you can see immediately how much that adds to the fur, just those couple little highlights. It's so awesome. So there's a little slowed down close up. Now the real magic comes when you go in with a black pencil. So this is going to give you the darkest darks that you need to really show dimension. So you've put in softer darks with the dark brown, but this harsh black shadowing is really going to make these little critters look like they are three-dimensional. So the important parts to me are the head is in front of the ears. And so to set the ears back, you just put a little bit of black behind the head. The head is also in front of the torso. So you want to make sure you create some black shadows there. And you can already see what a difference that makes in the slowed down close-up. So I will just keep on. I will also outline again the adorable little toes with black for even more definition, because I feel like that's a really important part of this image that makes it look elephanty and or woolly mammothy. You can see on the black it's starting to get a little bit of a wax bloom. That's because I have so many layers of color there. That is completely normal and actually makes the card kind of fun to look at. Now I'm taking a very fine liner and outlining the detail on the eyes. I'm saving this for last because they were pretty small details, like eyelids, etc. And you want those to pop after you already have all of your pencil down on the paper. That's when it becomes most effective. So you can see what a difference that makes in their eyes right here. And aren't they just the cutest? Oh my gosh. I wish we still had woolly mammoths. I feel like we would be friends. So here I will add just a tiny bit more detail in case I missed something with the coloring. And you can see the little eyelid detail. So cute. So here is the finished card with the mama and the baby woolly mammoth. Head over to my blog for more information. And thanks so much for watching.